Now listen, I still gotta get into the tea that happened on Twitter, because furries are fucking bored, and apparently don't have family on Easter, or really anyone to spend time with on Easter. Jesus, I don't know. Twitter's a very interesting platform. I think a lot of people look at it and it's just like, yeah, you know, this is it. This is the furry fandom. Twitter. It's all on here. The reason why I took that break from Twitter was because people make some really interesting hot takes. I don't necessarily agree nor disagree with it, or specifically these takes. I'm just like, what is really inspiring this in the first place? What's really inspiring this, not only to look this up, but to further comment about it on Twitter? Like, what's the intention? Where's the, I don't know, what's really going on? What's the desire for you to tweet this? You know that meme of like, you know, it cost you $0.00 to not tweet that? That's what I feel like we should question a lot more with some people with what they say. It's just like, why do you tweet that? What really is the intention behind it? And that just kind of goes to show with something that occurred this very Easter, because I guess people are bored on Easter. I mean, I played Hades and spent it with family and had some really good food. Okay, so what happened was, I don't know how the fuck I saw this on my feed. Someone, like, retweeted it, and then I saw it, I'm just like, this is weird. But, someone posted about the whole thing with, Cameo. If you don't know that app, I actually have one. I'm not doing it as a means of promoting it, but, like, basically what you can do is you can pay your favorite content creator or celebrity or whoever's on the platform to send you a message saying something, wishing you a happy birthday, wishing you a good anniversary, a good wedding, a good funeral. If you really want that, you can pay for people to send you this message. And what some of the Cameo, I guess, interns did a couple of years back is they reached out to furry content creators, because we have the mascot suit. Some people want like a cute furry mascot or fluffy animal to send some sort of message for them. And so they went out and reached to all these TikTokers, these furry YouTubers, these furry Twitch streamers, and were like, hey, you want to join our platform? We'll set one up for you. You can pay, you can charge what you want, and people will pay, and you get paid for it. It's like, okay, cool. You know, if this is being set up for me, then I'm more than happy to do this. Like, it's free after all. You're doing all the work for me, and I'll just put it up and it's all good for me, and I get paid to do this? I get paid to do nothing? But to realistically make people like happy if they want a birthday wish or something? Hell yeah, I'll do that. Absolutely. But apparently every year this happens where like furry Twitter discovers that furry Cameo is a thing, or that Cameo in general is a thing, and people sign up for it and whatnot, and it's like cool. But someone tweeted out, which again, this isn't to harass the original poster of it, but there are some intentions that I can kind of see behind this, but again, it's Twitter. I'm not taking it seriously. I just wanted to make a point, and I thought it was kind of funny. But someone tweeted out a little screen cap they had of the whole furry Cameo thing, which again, if you look up furry on Cameo, you're probably gonna find something like this with all these other people. I'm surprised I didn't come up. I think it went for like cheapest to like most expensive, because like I set myself at a high price point to get a Cameo from me, because realistically I just don't like doing these. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I've considered taking it down a lot of the time. But someone made a take, or what seems like a take, which we're reading this directly so you can understand the sort of tone that's being portrayed in this. Cannot wait to become a popufur so I can charge you lot £9.99. Basically $10 for a happy birthday message. Obviously, you can kind of read the tone as being a bit... Is condescending the right word to use here? From what I could read with this very simple tweet, is that it's kind of looking down on someone, or looking down on a group of people that really are just doing this thing and offering a product, which, again, it's not saturating the market. It's not replacing anyone else trying to use this. This is a very, very niche sort of subcategory on Cameo. Nothing's wrong with it, realistically. If you can get paid to do this, like, hey, you know, that's pretty cool. But you can tell from the tone here, I'm not the only one that is reading it this way. The tone here is very condescending, rather negative, somewhat malicious towards the whole popufur or popular furry or influencer furry aspect, that like anyone that has a brand, that anyone that has a fursuit, or anyone that worries about clout is using furry Cameo. And you can see it with the whole like follow-up message here. And in some of the replies, like I quote retweeted this, and it wasn't a means of like bashing the original poster, because that's not the point of anything here. Honestly, I just kind of looked at it in sort of their defense for it, because like, yeah, you know, this can be kind of shitty. It could be seen as like a whole stemming of narcissism in the furry fandom. And I can also sort of understand the issue with the parasocial relationships and how this doesn't really help it to an extent. But again, at the end of the day, this really is a very, very harmless platform. And so I quote retweeted saying something along these lines. Nothing wrong with doing this, especially if you can market it well. Though I will say the majority of the commissions, or the submissions that I receive, are for me to repeat some very offensive and racist shit that trolls usually want me to say for them, so I rarely use mine. Like I said, I set mine at $30, not because I genuinely want that money, but because if people really want a birthday message from me, go for it. I just said it at that point because a lot of these trolls and I guess anti-furry channels or whatever try to go for people that are rather cheap with this. Like I know my friend Sue, he charges like I think $5 for his, and he gets spammed with a bunch of people that are like, hey, can you say this of like Hitler did nothing wrong, 9/11 was justified sort of thing. Like very vague examples like that, which believe it or not, I've received the same exact requests. And I've turned those down, of course, because it's just like, why am I wasting my time with this? But I tweeted this out because it's like, hey, you know, I'm one of the people that's somewhat being put on blast to an extent here, even though the intention that the original poster said was that, oh, I just thought this was funny. It's realistically harmless, but I thought it was funny. Okay, so then I followed it up with this whole point that I was very much worried about. It's disconcerting and somewhat hypocritical to see this concept being demonized by those who full-on support and or use OnlyFans for mercy content, which that's kind of true to an extent. The people that were bashing the whole furry cameo thing are like, oh, this is cringe, this is dumb, this is people taking advantage of blah 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 blah. Like, these are the same people to like full on support people who do the mersuit fursuit content on OnlyFans as well, or do it themselves. They're like, oh yeah, you know, use OnlyFans, you know, if you gotta make ends meet, you gotta live, I encourage you to use that. If you really think that you can do that and you're okay with it, then go and do it. The same people that were defending that, putting this on blast, kind of hypocritical, just a little bit, just saying. Which again, absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just the principle of the matter that is said, and you see, which, yeah, that's kind of the point. It's like, to an extent, I could give so many different opinions on this whole matter of like, hey, your insecurities are showing. My insecurities are somewhat showing too. Or like, hey, we understand you wish you had this, or you're angry about X, Y, or Z, but it's like, At the end of the day, what I decided to do with this is I looked at this, I quote retweeted just to sort of prove a little bit of a point, or just to say something, a little bit of commentary, because people were probably curious, because it was all over furry Twitter yesterday, because again, I'm surprised at the amount of time people have for stuff on Easter. I know not everyone celebrates it, but I don't know, especially on a Sunday. Either way, I just thought this whole thing was kind of interesting. But the overall tone that I was somewhat annoyed about is how it was very somewhat condescending, if that's the right word to use. But the person actually followed up on it. They followed up saying, to be honest, get that bread, go for 100%, just found it funny personally. Kind of contradicts a bit of the message in the first one, but again, that's reading too much into Twitter, which I've sort of, again, given them the benefit of the doubt. It's like, hey, you know, if they really think that it's funny, at the end of the day, cool. I think people can somewhat be reading too much into it. But again, when this is all that's there, and then the follow-up tweet is like, hey, you know, look at this cringy, somewhat fursuiter doing the shaky hands with the cam thing. It's like, okay, that doesn't really set the precedent that you're in this because you found it to be funny. The precedent kind of seems like you're setting it that like, okay, this is cringy, let's bash this. And then, of course, the rest of the fandom was like, oh, hey, someone's standing on it in a negative sense. Let's go ahead and bash it as well. Or the people that are defending it that are like, it's realistically fine. Because again, with the amount of replies that you see to this, it's either like in defensive or in supportive. It's not supposed to be like, haha, this is a funny thing. Because obviously people read the tone the same way as well. And I kind of agreed with the point that they were making, that like the whole thing of like marketing on the internet will never cease to surprise me, which that's the case because furry cameo is a thing. And if you think about it in that sense, it's like, yeah, you know, this is kind of funny in some sense. It's just the tone that was a bit confusing to me. But yeah, if you go into this tweet, you'll probably see a lot of either bashing or in defense of things. And it's like, wow, people are really like paying this much to get a birthday message, or like, I don't know. There are things that are funny about this. I can get the whole thing of like, no issue, just a joke tweet. Yeah, you know, you could say that. But at the same time, if you're getting this much of a response that's so far in the negative of like defending of like, why are you bashing this thing? Or people in the positive just like, haha, this is the dumbest, cringiest shit ever. Don't you maybe think you should have reworded your tweet? just saying that. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of opinions that people make about this whole thing. And my take is pretty much just, it is what it is. People are going to have opinions of it. I think the only issue that I have with this is it's very much being mixed up that like people who use Cameo are also the same shitty, furry, popular influencers who are trying to take advantage of the fandom, or who are in reality really shitty people that only wish to benefit on their own accord from it. I don't know. It's very interesting to look at it in this sense. And I've kind of wanted to do some sort of video talking about it, how like in general, the idea of putting these two categories into one stereotype of like anyone who is popular, who remotely has a following in the furry fandom, is shitty, no matter what they do. Because it's very hard to distinguish between these two if this entire platform is being put on blast, which, let me say, some people that use furry Cameo are genuinely shitty people. Most people really are not. But it's very much generalizing this group of individuals to be horrible because of the actions of someone that might be bad, or so on and so forth. Which again, it's kind of ironic how people fight for this idea that the furry fandom isn't bad when obviously normal people look at it, they see one person that's bad in it and they're like, okay, this is what the rest of the fandom is. Zoophilia, pedophilia, so on and so forth. The same thing can be somewhat applied to us, just more subcategory of the entire thing. And I think it's important that, like, you know, this is sort of discussed, of course, not on Twitter. Twitter's kind of fucking dumb. Don't ever take anything on Twitter seriously. I didn't take this seriously. I just stated what I had to say, and I didn't read too much in the tone. I just like, okay, I don't want to try to decipher what this person means with this tweet. If you hate me, cool. If you don't like me, cool. If you like me, cool. If you think that is just a funny thing, cool. People liking to take cheap shots like that because safe word content creators are easy targets. I mean, I don't think it's really it. Oh, this is another point that I want to make. I think it's very easy for anyone to just look at someone with the following and be like, this person's a clout chaser. This person is doing it for the popularity because they want to be a poppy fur. When in reality, that statement is so ironic coming from any furry. You join the furry fandom because you want some level of validation. You want some level of feeling like you belong. That is just, it's what it is. It's a common human nature aspect, whatever you call it. It's okay to want to feel validated, to want to feel welcome. And that's what the furry fandom is, okay? It just so happens that some people are given greater followings because the algorithm is in their favor, or they have a cute fursuit. It doesn't necessarily mean that that person is shitty. It doesn't mean that entirely. Obviously, it can be assumed that from that nature that maybe they are. But generally, people look at the negatives more so than the positives in that sense. I see the whole like clout chaser, poppy fur, shitty celebrity, influencer furry thrown around a lot. And a lot of people don't really understand that at a very base level, people want to be validated, and not in the sense of being popular or wanting parasocial relationships on the internet, want people giving them money or want a fan base. Some people want to express themselves. And in some sense, people that are the most genuine or have a personality that isn't like that of like fucking paint drying will attract an audience. Even if the audience is for the cute fursuit, or even if it isn't, if they have a personality outside of the fursuit that shines, then people will take it. And that's the case with me. I don't mean to be a narcissist in this sense or grow an ego in this sense, but I worked fucking hard to break past the whole uwu cute fursuit stereotype and actually build some sort of audience on here, on YouTube, TikTok even, I guess, that isn't centered around my fursuit or my fursona. Like, people will genuinely show up to my videos because it's me, because it's entertaining and they enjoy my personality or they enjoy my company. I worked my fucking ass off to break out of that, mindset of like, I need to put on the fursuit in order to get views. I'm so thankful I was able to break out of that. And I understand some people want to do that as well. But when the furry fandom is very much art and fursuit oriented, it's hard for people to do that. So obviously with this, when people have a cute fursuit and they need to make ends meet and they want to be an influencer or content creator, they see other people doing it online and are able to do it as a job, I can guarantee I inspire some people to want to pursue this full time, to want to be able to do what I do. And so people, when Cameo is an open market and anyone can join, they're going to sign up for this stuff.